What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com, joined by Steven Andrus. We're going to run through your survivor options here in NFL Week 7. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. Let us know how you are going to play this week in the comment section and give us a thumbs up on this video as well. And stick around. Steve and I will both give you a play that we already have in our account here for Week 7. Just a straight up bet that you can put in your account here early on in the week. Steven, this is a week, and we've got the Survivor article here on the lines you see on the screen if you're watching. Here's just all of the odds for the week. And as I scroll down, it's a pretty straightforward week if you're playing it safe. If you're playing it safe, there are 3 double-digit favorites, guys, as you see right here. Rams, anywhere from 14.5 to 15.5 point favorites. Cardinals, 17 to 17.5 point favorites. And then you have the Bucs sitting there at 12.5 point favorites. When I scroll up a little bit further, you can see that you nearly have another one, and maybe by the time it's all said and done, the Green Bay Packers are 9.5 point favorites this week as well. There's a couple other options we'll talk about here, but I'll click back over to the Survivor article, Stephen, and off we go here with the big favorites: Cardinals, Rams, and Bucs. Now, there is a chance. There were a couple of different times this year that people could have used the Bucs. The Bucs might be popular to have already been used so far. There was a spot or two to use the Rams as well. That being said, I bet most people have at least one of these 3 teams available. So if you're playing it safe this week, if you are in a smaller pool, if you are in one that you feel like you just really want to feel comfortable and move along, these are the 3 plays to make for sure.
Yeah, we're on our page here. It's a little early to get pick percentages. Mo Nawara, our author, will go later in the week and collect these and update the article from Survivor Grid, which kind of pools all of the pick percentages from all the big pools around the country, so you get an idea of what percentage of people around the country are taking it. But I can tell you that I think the Cardinals are definitely going to be the most popular play this week. I know in an ESPN Survivor pool that I'm in right now, it's saying 37% of people in the pool have picked the Arizona Cardinals, which is just an astronomical number for a big Survivor pool like this. We're looking at Patriots around, double digits there, 13%, Packers 14%. The Rams are an interesting one. Let me find them real quick here. They are more than a 2 touchdown favorite in this matchup. So we'll see how big of how many teams pick them. Only 15%. So clearly the most popular pick this week seems like it's going to be the Cardinals. And I would actually just make sure that Tyrod Taylor is not going to play this week before you go and lock them in. Because if Taylor does play, we've seen they are a more than competent offense, and that would at least give me a little bit of pause versus these other matchups.
Well, I just look at these 3 teams, and again, it all just depends on how much risk you want to take in these things and the size of your pool and all the things like that. But the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Bucs just have so much future value. If you have those teams in your pocket whenever we get down into the real weeds here later on in the season, and the opponents in the group that you're in do not, you have such an incredible advantage as you move forward through all this. And so for me, I would not be playing any one of these 3 teams this week. I would be looking elsewhere, and we'll scroll up here. We'll scroll down a little bit further in the article, and you can kind of see there are 3 other options this week. In the Packers, the Patriots, and then if you want to add in the Ravens, you could add in the Ravens. As we flip back over to the odds screen, you can see the Packers are nearly double-digit favorites, sitting here at 9.5 point favorites. We go down a little bit further, and the Patriots are sitting as 7-point home favorites over the Jets. And then if you go down a little bit further, the Ravens are 6-point home favorites over the Bengals. But I want to scroll back up here and focus on one of these games here, and I should say on 2 of these games, Stephen, and that is the Packers and the Patriots. And if you had not used either the Packers or the Patriots, I would be looking and focusing my efforts on one of these 2 teams as to how I wanted to play this week in Survivor, because there's a couple of other reasons. As I flip over here to the Patriots schedule, you can take a look, and you got the Jets here in week 7, Stephen, but then Chargers, Panthers, Browns, Falcons, Titans, Bills, Colts, Bills. Are you feeling comfortable playing the Patriots in any one of those games until we get to way down to week 17 where they play the Jacksonville Jaguars? So maybe that would be an option, but then you'd have to make it to week 17, guys. Like, we're trying to get you there. There's no other chance really to play this Patriots team if you don't play them here in week 7, really, until you get all the way to week 17. And, listen, I don't think so. You probably don't think so, but who knows what this Jags team looks like by week 17, right? Maybe they figured something out. Maybe Trevor Lawrence is playing exponentially better. Maybe they've come around with some of these injuries. Again, so it's no sure thing that in week 17, the Jags are just going to be an absolute slam dunk either. So for me, I'm really, really focusing in on the Patriots team here in week 7 against the Jets as 7-point home favorites. And I understand it's definitely far more risky than playing any of these other teams. But if you're in a bigger pool, you're in it to win it. You got to survive to the end. You got to be able to beat thousands of other or hundreds of other entries and stuff. And so with that, that would be my play this week, would be the Patriots.
So I like it. I can't disagree with anything you said, but I'm sure some people out there are like me and use the Patriots week 2 against the New York Jets and are going to have to find a different option here. So let's find a plan B for people just in case. And, the Packers are an interesting case here against the Washington football team. We know that defense has not met expectations whatsoever. I'm looking at their schedule, Matt, and the Green Bay Packers have Washington this week, and then probably a stretch of 4 or 5 games where you're not going to be as comfortable taking them, at Arizona, at Kansas City, against the Seattle Seahawks, at home, and then at Minnesota, and then home against the Los Angeles Rams. I wouldn't be comfortable taking them again until after their week 13 bye, week 14 at home against Chicago. So it might be a decent spot here to burn the Green Bay Packers. The only thing else I would mention is I'm seeing some potential double-digit usage, over 10% usage for the Packers this week. And if you haven't used the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yet, who are in that upper tier that we talked about, I'm seeing some, at least on ESPN, and it's going to differ on various platforms, but I'm at least in the early going here this week seeing less than 5% usage on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that might be a nice little combination, whether you're in a small pool or whether you're in a big pool, to get one of these really safe teams at a much lower percentage to possibly have some more leverage in case, some crazy things happen here in week number 7.
Yeah, I agree with you here. If you don't have the Patriots available, then my play would be the Packers. And there's a couple of different reasons for this. One, like you mentioned, it's not like the Packers are just one of those teams that you feel super comfortable with as it is anyway. But 2, look, you and I both know the value of this Packers team lies in 2 players. It is not like any of these other teams when you look at how these teams might be able to win should, some sort of catastrophe happen. No, this Packers team, if Devontae Adams goes down, this team is not any good. And if Aaron Rodgers goes down, this team is not any good. It is a team that is highly reliant on 2 players. Well, those 2 players just happen to be healthy right now. And so it feels comfortable for me anyway to be able to get them kind of behind me, use them, get them out of the way, and then not have to worry about the fact that maybe Aaron Rodgers rolls an ankle, maybe Devontae Adams gets a hamstring injury, whatever it might be, something along those types of directions. So yes, if I didn't have the Patriots available to me this week, the Packers would be my pick this week as well.
I think I'm with you too, because if you look at the Bucks' future value here in Survivor, still have games against Washington, the Giants. The Colts are getting better, but still a middle of the road team. The Falcons are still on the schedule. The Panthers twice, and the Jets the last 3 weeks of the season. So a ton of future value left there for the Bucks. So I'm with you there on Packers over Bucks this week.
I'll tell you this. We have the Ravens listed, and listen, the spread dictates they're 6-point favorites in this one. No way in the world am I touching the Ravens this week. I honestly believe in this Cincinnati team. I think they're for real. And as long as they are healthy, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and the way that they've been playing defense so far this year, no way in the world am I touching that one. There is no way I would be playing the Ravens this week.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week on the pod that this Bengals team, especially on defense, is looking like a top 10 defense at the worst. They're at the absolute worst top half of the league, which is a lot better than what they were when they were bottom 5 a year ago. And that's raising their range of outcomes in these games, even against good opponents. We've seen them be competitive in a couple of games now against teams that were supposed to be a lot better than them this year. So it wouldn't shock me in the least if they pull an upset this week. I wouldn't bet on it, but this is Survivor, and you need to think about worst case scenarios here, and that's one that I want to avoid.
We do have a sneaky option in the Saints that are listed. They're like 5-point favorites heading over to the Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks. I'm not interested there either, just because of the other options that are available this week. I mean, listen, it is still Jameis Winston on the road in Seattle in that hostile crowd, in a primetime game as well with all this. I'm just, that's not anything I'm interested in, Steven. I mean, I guess if for whatever reason you had used every single one of these other teams we've talked about, then I would still use the Saints over the Ravens. That's how much I believe in the Bengals team compared to this, right, the Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks. But it would be a last resort, Jameis Winston on the road at Seattle.
And the last contrarian play here, the Falcons, they were actually an underdog on the look-ahead line. And then the Dolphins went and lost to the Jaguars, and now it's flipped 5 points the other way. And now the Falcons are a 2.5-point favorite. I think mostly because of the spot. They are coming off of a bye week after playing in London. And now the Miami Dolphins chose not to have the bye coming back from London. So it's a really tough spot for them. So regardless, I wouldn't take the Falcons just based on the numbers situation if they weren't actually the favorites until 5-6 days ago.
Yeah. Quick recap. If you are in a very, very small pool and you don't want to take any risk here, Cardinals, Rams, Bucks, can't go wrong with any three of those. My personal pick for the week would be the Patriots if available to you. Go ahead, get them out of the way, because like I said, their future value doesn't really roll back around until week 17. And hey, you got to last until week 17. So I'm not planning that far in advance. Really do like them. If they're not available, I would head to the Packers. And again, last resort would be the Saints on the road over at Seattle. Steven, let's talk a bet that we actually have in our account this week. I'll kick things off here, guys. And listen, it is not a pretty week at all. I think this week is kind of the stink. But that being said, one teaser leg that I did put in my account this week. I know it's not a great teaser week at all. I did tease the Dolphins at home up to 8.5. I took the Patriots at home from 7 down to 1. It is the only teaser I have in my account this week at all. Listen, yes, the Dolphins did lose last week to the Jags. That being said, they had the ball on a 4th down. They tried to convert to go ahead and win the game. It was a smart decision. They just didn't convert on 4th down. If you look, Tua is exponentially better under center than Jacoby Brissett is. Jacoby Brissett couldn't do anything at all. And there was at least some signs of life for this Dolphins offense, getting Gesicki involved and getting Jalen Waddle involved a ton. I'll take the Dolphins getting 8.5 at home against this Falcons team that, again, as you mentioned, Steven, was a look ahead underdog in this game, and just the status of the Dolphins has kind of flipped this thing around. And then give me the Patriots at home. They just have to win the game. The 7 down to 1. They beat this Jets team pretty handily in week 2, even though they were kind of outgained yards per play in that game. I think the Patriots are just better pretty much at every level at this point, given the injuries on the Jet side of the ball as well. Give me the 1-point victory for the Patriots at home in a teaser leg.
I am with you on that Patriots teaser leg. I have a teaser for everybody as well, so that is one of my teaser legs. The other one that I'm looking at is one that I'm going to have to kind of plug my nose a little bit here. The New York Giants, teasing them up to 9. This might come down to 2.5. I'd be okay teasing it at plus 8.5. I know they looked pitiful last week and just completely overmatched against the Los Angeles Rams, but I actually think they have the better offense in this game at home against the Carolina Panthers. It's a nice little teaser spot, short favorite, teasing them up through the 3, through the 7. We have a total here that's less than 45. So I think that this is a low scoring game, and they can keep it within, a touchdown and a field goal here to give us a nice little 2-team 6-point teaser. So that's where I'm at early on here.
Guys, everything we do at the Lines and Play Picks, absolutely free. Be sure and head over to thelines.com. You can read the full Survivor article in its entirety. You can go ahead and shop all of the lines as well out there. Make sure that you are taking in every consideration this week as we head into what I consider to be one of the worst weeks. It's got to be the worst week of the season, Steven. So hopefully we don't have any more of these weeks moving forward. If you want to follow Steven on Twitter at StevenAnders1, you want to follow me at Matt Brown2. And if you're watching us over there on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Everything we do is free. We're hitting every single sport, guys. We're putting out tons of content. So really do appreciate you guys and all the support. Good luck here in NFL week number 7.